Good morning. Campus is finally back to normal after a suspect was seen carrying a gun in one of the dorms. We'll give you a full report on this story and many more coming up next on College Week.
Live from the Jeske Fine Arts Center on the campus of the University of Sioux Falls, this is College Week. With Jake Iverson, Jen Halverson, and Jerry Coxwell Sports.
Thanks for joining us this morning. I'm Jake Iverson.
And I'm Jen Halverson. Confusion broke out at the USF campus last week when police responded to a call and began locking down the university. Here's Jake with more on the story.
Remember, the 5th of November. This old saying holds an all-new meaning for many students and faculty involved in the recent incident at the Grand Island Women's Dormitory here on the USF campus. Squad cars surrounded Grand Island this past Wednesday as they responded to a report of a man armed with a gun inside the dormitory. Campus security quickly put the university on lockdown and evacuated buildings closest to the women's dorm. As the situation progressed, speculation arose that the alleged gun was no more than an airsoft pistol, a toy gun that fires plastic pellets. Karen Sumner was on the scene of the incident and says that even though security had this supposition, they had to carry out their protocols.
I think pretty quickly we were able to understand the situation and figure out what was going on. Pretty much as soon as the police were on the scene, we knew we had an idea, but because there had been the suspicion that the actual gun was involved, we had to follow through with procedure.
That procedure involved law enforcement sweeping through the women's dorm, evacuating residents as they went along. The suspect initiated contact with police and was waiting for them after the dorm's evacuation. And all the while, he was in full compliance with authorities. Women were evacuated through these doors, many with their hands behind their heads. And although the situation turned out to be less serious than originally reported, the campus took the correct measures to defuse the situation.
And according to the police description of that charge, that is appropriate because of the level of fear that was initiated. And so, yeah, sure, hindsight, it seems like, what? But the toy, the gun, looks very realistic. And so the police wanted to make sure that everything was handled in a way that showed the severity of the situation.
The Sioux Falls Police Department released the name of the suspect as Caleb Coffey, and he still remains a student here at USF. For USF College Week, I'm Jake Iverson.
After the incident, all students on campus received an email explaining the similarities between a real gun and an airsoft pistol. And airsoft guns are now officially banned from campus.
This week saw the first lasting snowfall of the year, and it is another reminder that winter is just around the corner. Snow survival kits are a good safety idea for students traveling home for the holidays and can be purchased at vendors such as Walmart or Hy-Vee. When the snow falls, students are encouraged to review their snow alert guides and prepare for street plowing. Cars parked in locations other than campus parking lots may face fines if their cars block the snowplow. If you need a snow alert guide or would like to sign up for alerts via email, visit the city's website at siouxfalls.org/publicworks, then click on snow.
This year's Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade will be led by one of South Dakota's most decorated marching bands, the Patriot Marching Band from Lincoln High School in Sioux Falls. The Patriots will be first thing the viewers see and parade goers will see on the 2.5-mile route throughout the streets of New York. The Patriots are among 6 bands selected 2 years ago that take part in the historic parade. However, this is not Lincoln's first parade performance. The band marched in 1994 and in 2000 a Macy's parade and also made an appearance in 2005 at the Tournament of Roses in the parade in California. University of Sioux Falls Professor Cisa Cooper and Dr. Mike Grevelos have high school students who are members of the band traveling to New York on November 22nd. You can catch the Lincoln Marching Band on any of the major networks on Thanksgiving morning. Coming up next, see why taking public transportation might make you late. We'll be right back.
Welcome back. With increasing concerns about the environment, many might think that taking public transportation is a better alternative. College Week's John Clauser explains why that might not be the best idea.
Even though $25 a month for a bus ticket is appealing, the waits and the routes are not always in stride with the busy schedule of many Sioux Falls residents.
Well, if it's number 10, which is the one I take out west, it takes anywhere from, depending on what time I get here, it's usually about 45 minutes.
With time on her hands, Arlene Mitzfer chooses to be a little more laid back.
You just got to have a little bit of extra time, you know, because you got to wait for your transfers if you have them and stuff like that.
City Councilman Kermit Stegers explains the financial troubles involving public transportation.
City transit system heavily subsidized by federal tax dollars and also city tax dollars. And of course, with the rise in diesel fuel and so forth, this is causing havoc.
If they ran a little more often, you know, instead of such a time span, but like I say, I can understand that on the weekends.
With many routes and Sioux Falls expanding, residents may see routes disappear.
There's been talk about contracting the system, and the reason for contracting the system was because of the funding situation.
This frustration is already building for Luke, as he now has to wait even longer for his bus to arrive and take him home.
I asked for a transfer, and this one only runs 2 hours, so I'm assuming that it's just gonna sit here until it's time to go again or something. I don't understand why this one's sitting here. I've actually never seen this happen before.
The buses stop running at 7:40 p.m. How do people get home from a night of drinking at a Canaries game? Drink and drive?
But that's the major area where we've heard a lot of concerns. Now, when it comes to more affluent areas of the city, we do not have bus service there, and we really have not heard any interest in having bus service there. But it's primarily to medical areas and also areas of the city that are not as affluent is where we have the real concerns about the bus service.
John Nardini, general manager of the public transit, was too busy to comment on this story. For College Week, I'm John Clauser.
Over the past year, local painters and poets have been collaborating with one another to produce a show for the Washington Pavilion. College Week's Aaron Heinert has more on this event.
Converged at the Washington Pavilion for the opening of the P3 exhibit. The showcase, which was the brainchild of USF Art and English professors Cisa Cooper and Kevin Cole, began with a project Cisa had previously witnessed.
About 20 years ago, when I came out of my undergraduate degree at the University of Houston, there was this amazing group of poets and artists in the greater Houston area. The Museum of Fine Arts in Houston put together this incredible collaborative project like this one, teaming poets with local visual artists. And it was an incredible success, and it left a huge impact on my life. And so I've been wanting to do this since I left there.
After booking the show with the Pavilion for the fall of 2008, Cooper and Cole began searching for the talent.
So Kevin and I basically got together and said, let's try to do this. There's this incredible amount of talent here in the upper Midwest right now. Let's see if we could get all of these people together and do the same thing.
Cooper and Cole began pairing writers with their artist counterparts. One participant in the collaborations was USF English professor Greg Dyer.
It was a nice opportunity to sort of get back into the process of writing. It's one of those things that it's easy to put to the side when you've got papers to grade and kids to shuttle around town and all that sort of stuff. And so having a specific project and a collaborative project where I was sort of being fed but also accountable to someone else helped give it some direction, I guess, that was good for me at this point and where I'm at in my process.
While Cooper was pleased with the outcome of the event, she promises that bigger and better things are in store.
This is actually just the beginning of what's probably going to be a much bigger project next year. Yeah.
For College Week, I'm Aaron Heinert.
The P3 exhibit will run until the 8th of February at the Visual Arts Center at the Washington Pavilion in downtown Sioux Falls. Admission is free.
The newest theater production is about to take the stage at the Meredith Auditorium. College Week's Jordan Erickson has more on the upcoming play.
To people walking by the Jeske Auditorium recently, the stage may have looked more like an antique store than a set for a new play. Lonely Planet, the USF Theater Department's latest production, is a two-man drama set in a New York City map store in the early 90s.
This show is about two men living in the AIDS crisis, and it's really about legacy and just the deaths from these people's deaths and how they are impacting these men.
And they say they're sick.
According to senior Dan Hodges, the deaths are represented throughout the play in a unique way that is intended to have an emotional and visual connection for both the characters and the audience.
Jody and Carl's friends are dying of AIDS, and Carl's mission and his kind of goal of the whole show is to help is to help Jody see that. And by part of doing that is bringing in chairs. And each chair represents a person who died.
Dealing with fear and death can be a difficult thing to portray on stage. Senior Taylor Kalma said the intimacy of a play with only 2 actors makes the emotional aspects more manageable.
Like it's easier in a sense that you like there's just one person that you're working with the whole time, so you build that connection a lot sooner, a lot stronger, because you get so used to working with them all the time. But at the same time, you have a lot more lines. This is my monologue. Wow. Yeah, so there's a lot of memorization.
Homosexuality is a hotly debated topic across the country right now, but director Kim Bartling said the play should not be viewed as controversial. According to Bartling, the theme of the play is greater than a single relationship and deals with topics everyone can relate to.
It's applicable to all of us in that we are accountable to one another as, people living in the same world and listening to one another and recognizing each other's fears and frailties.
Guilty pleasures.
The only kind
For USF College Week, I'm Jordan Erickson.
Cheers.
Lonely Planet runs from the 18th to the 22nd of November with shows every night at 7:30 and a matinee at 2 p.m. on the 23rd. Admission is $1 for students, $10 for adults, and $7 for students not enrolled at USF. Coming up next on College Week, Mike Harris sits down with Travis Lape to talk about his recent election bid on Crosstalk. Stay tuned.
Thank you for tuning in to another edition of USF's Crosstalk. I'm Mike Harris. Today we're joined by USF student and State House Representative candidate Travis Lape. Thanks for joining us, Travis.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Now, where exactly were you running for state seat?
District 19, that's the counties of Hutchinson, Bonham, Douglas, and Turner counties.
Okay. What would be some of the responsibilities of this position?
If I was elected on November 4th, which I wasn't, my duties would have required me to attend session, which would have started in January and ended in March, and then it would be just day-to-day tasks with county commissioners, city councils, working with the constituents in that district to help better serve them and the needs that they would need, the local school boards, and helping them fund money for what they need. Okay.
Now, how would that have conflicted with your USF student schedule?
It would have conflicted. If elected, I would have worked out a schedule with my professors. I probably would have only taken a couple classes, hopefully worked through internet or online classes, and then made up time this summer to catch up what I would have missed this spring.
Okay. Okay. Now, how long would have this position lasted?
It would have been a 2-year. Every legislative candidate serves for 2 years, and then you're back up for re-election. So, if elected, I would have served for 2 years, and in 2010, I would have been up for re-election.
Okay. Now, would you have put off your student, schedule that long, or would you just come back for the summers, or?
Well, my schedule would have stayed kind of the same. I would have been able to take the couple classes in the spring, catch up in the summer, take a full load in the fall, and then go back for session in the spring. And so, class time I would have been taking more in the summer than in the spring, and that's kind of what it came down to be.
Okay. Now, what was the campaign trail like? Did you do a whole lot of campaigning, or?
It was an interesting trail. Being 21, being the youngest candidate ever to run in our state, it was definitely interesting. A lot of barbecues, 4-H events, and just get-togethers on those senses was a lot of fun. But I met a lot of people that were excited about a young candidate, excited for somebody that wanted to get involved and wanted to throw their name into the hat and serve our state in this capacity. But a lot of people were hesitant of my age. A lot of people looked at me and said, "Are you even in college yet?" And so I had a lot of people that were on the other side of the fence too, that were a little skeptical of my age and what I could do. But throughout the campaign trail, I met a lot of wonderful people. It was a fun process. It was something that I learned from. Right now I'm going through and making lists of things that I believe I could have done better to maybe get my name out there more, would have met more people, just all the possibilities that would have come if I would have done a little more.
Sounds like a lot of kissing babies and shaking hands. Now, what exactly is next on the president or the political career of Travis Lape?
Well, we haven't ruled out not running in 2010. 2010 will be another big race with the governor's seat up, and so it will be an exciting time. We'll see if I want to run for this legislative seat again, but we're not ruling it out. But I'm not throwing my name in the hat right away either. So we'll just see what time brings and how passionate I am to get back into it.
Okay. How do you feel that you were politically, ready to maybe take on this responsibility?
Well, just kind of the leadership roles that I've been involved in. In 2005, 2006, I served as the state FFA president, and so I had that type of leadership role of maintaining membership, serving the members of our state, and how to get them passionate about what I believed in and what I believed the FFA really did for my life. I also served as a student body president here at the University of Sioux Falls and believe that was a great opportunity for me to really take pride in how do you balance a budget, how do you take money and allocate it to the right funds, and then how do you allow students' voices to be heard. And that's really why I got into this legislative race, was because we've got 10 different school districts in our district, but the representatives that were serving in that district were not letting those voices be heard. And so I wanted to allow their voices to be heard in Pierre. I wanted to fight for the small schools and make sure they had a voice. And so I feel that it prepared me. Was I fully ready? No, I wasn't. But there's still things that I'm learning, but we all are learning. I hope that a legislator that's in his 60s don't think he has all the answers just yet. So it was a great experience for me to partake in.
Well, it sounds like you're a very ambitious man, Travis. Thank you for joining us. Good luck on your in your future, on your campaign trails, and thank you for tuning in to another edition of USF's College Week Crosstalk. I'm Mike Harris.
Back. Now it's time for sports with our sports reporter, Jerry Coxwell.
All right, Jerry, the Cougars keep getting closer and closer to those playoffs.
I know, it's getting pretty exciting.
It is.
Got one game left. It has been an awesome start to the 2008 season for the USF women's basketball team, as they now sit at 3-1 after upending Dakota State 75-74 on Saturday in the Stewart Center. Kayla Blom hit 2 free throws with 6.9 seconds to play, giving them the lead for good. It was a back-and-forth game throughout, with neither team trailing by more than 10 points at any stage. Becky Christofferson scored a team-high 17 points for the Cougars, while Elizabeth Betsy Hildreth poured in 13. The Trojans were led by Megan Swecker, who scored 23, and Alyssa Kirk nailed 5 3-pointers, keeping them in the game. Next up for the Cougar women is a trip to Omaha, Nebraska, to face the College of St. Mary. Tip-off is set for Friday night, November 14th at 7 p.m. Now to football. Last Saturday, the USF football team continued their dominating ways, using proficient offense and suffocating defense to easily take down Dordt College 34-2 in snowy Sioux Center, Iowa. The defenders' only score came on a blocked extra point return by Fred Leyendecker. Lorenzo Brown had a decent day for the Cougars, throwing for 118 yards and 2 touchdowns, while Alex Anderson caught 4 passes for 65 yards, and Eric Simple rushed for 50 yards, a game high. With the victory, the Cougars improved to 9-0 on the season. In what can essentially be called the GPAC title game, the Cougars will host Morningside College in the regular season finale on Saturday, November 15th at Bobby Young Field, a noon kickoff. Both teams come in undefeated at 9-0. And that's sports.
And so you think that the They're actually going to make it to that national championship game yet?
I think they got a real shot.
All right.
Thanks, Jerry. We wish the best of luck to the Cougars.
Certainly. Thank you.
With this week's movie moment, here are College Week's resident movie critics, Jordan Erickson and Ronnie Hawkins, with a review of the new Sean William Scott comedy, Role Models.
Welcome to College Week Movie Moment. I'm Jordan Erickson.
And I'm Ronnie Hawkins.
And this week we're reviewing the latest R-rated comedy, Role Models, starring Sean William Scott and Paul Rudd.
All right, Role Models stars two guys that work for a power drink company, and those guys are played by Paul Rudd, whose character hates life. He's having a midlife crisis. Everything's going wrong for him. And then you have Sean William Scott's character, who just absolutely loves life, thinks his mediocre job is great. And the two together are just hilarious. And then, of course, kind of a bad day lands them both facing a 30-day prison sentence. So you can imagine the hook there. But anyways, instead of going to prison, they get 150 hours of community service and have to go to Sturdy Wings, which is this Big Brothers, Big Sisters type organization where they mentor a kid for 150 hours. And really, it's basically, they get paired up with two kids that couldn't be more different than the mentors are. And you kind of see how bad of mentor or parental figures they are. But it ends up being really hilarious.
The movie was really funny. Paul Rudd is hilarious as a sarcastic guy, and Sean William Scott is back in fine form as the party guy that he made so famous in American Pie. As for the kids, they're both great too. The one-liners are amazing. The script is excellent, and I really enjoyed the movie the whole time. So what do you think of it?
I thought it was really funny, like you said. It had its moments where it was just like, you just wouldn't, it's just really, really funny.
Yeah.
I thought it was really underrated. Like, you didn't hear about it a lot, like, coming out, like, as much as, like, Superbad or Anchorman or movies that are kind of comparable to it.
It wasn't promoted nearly as much.
Yeah, exactly, which is kind of a little weird for how good it was, because you go in there not expecting a lot, and you came out getting a lot, and feeling like it was a really good movie.
It feels like it's probably going to be a cult classic in a few years. Exactly. It's going to be one that's going to be in my DVD collection for sure.
Yeah,
so.
It's definitely a hidden gem we have right now in the cinema.
No kidding.
So what's the final verdict on it?
I'd have to give it 4.5 out of 5 stars.
4.5.
It's not quite perfect. It's close. It gets a little, a little schmaltzy at the end, but you know, they've got it. They kind of got to try and do the lesson. But it was good, so I'd give it 4.5 out of 5 stars.
4.5. That sounds really good. I think I'm going to go with 4 stars. 4 out of 5 stars.
Sure.
I give it like a B plus or an A
Sure.
minus. Good. So.
Well, back to you guys in the studio.
Well, that wraps up another edition of USF College Week. I'm Jen Halverson.
And I'm Jake Iverson. And for all of us here at College Week, have a great day.